Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Low Budget Headquarters. Today we're going to be reacting to this new video by Anabolic Stick. I recently put out another video discussing this, basically saying that the original Anabolic Stick video regarding Greg Doucette and Hussein Farhat didn't really have much to add to the table. It was mostly just like, Hussein grows big really fast, and honestly, it's kind of ridiculous. Therefore, he's not natty, and then it was a lot of just like setting up a narrative and whatnot. But this new video titled Hussein Farhat Lied About Natural Bodybuilding Show, this has a little more, let's just say, interesting context to it. So I've already pre-watched it, but we're going to be sort of diving into it. And let me know if you guys like this kind of like reaction style content, because when I made the Gym Bro Ed channel, this is kind of what I wanted to get into as well. It's not all going to be just drama stuff. This kind of just happened, but I think this is going to be a little bit of fun. Yeah, let's dive into this
video about Hussein Farhat being a fake natty, which absolutely took off.
Side note, if you haven't seen the original video, go watch it because context.
The algorithm, prompting both Hussein and Greg Doucette to respond. When they both responded, one of the main points they brought up was that Hussein Farhat competed in a natural bodybuilding show, so therefore...
Okay, so I talked about this in my original video. Basically, like, the major, like, I guess you could say, like, debunk to Greg actually perpetuating this fake natty thing is that Hussein submitted to a blood test, not once, but twice. Once when he was asked and wasn't really given notice, and he didn't lose sides, so he wouldn't have had time to sort of like gear off or whatever. And the second was at this natural bodybuilding show, but apparently this show didn't actually drug test anyone, allegedly. We're gonna get into why it's not like definitive, like court proof, but there's some interesting context here.
He must be natty.
And why do you think I told him to do drug-tested competition? He could have entered a non-tested competition. Then what would you have all said? Oh, notice, he enters a non-tested show. Why do you think that is? Because he hopped on. And so he enters a drug-tested bodybuilding competition.
You make good points, but what about Hussein competing in a natural show and winning? Yeah, what about it, bro? You didn't mention the show. Like, we're just gonna forget about it? Nobody like, we're just sweeping it under the rug? Like...
Yeah, like... Okay, all context aside, like, if you were to ask me if this guy was natural, I'm not the best determiner of stuff like that, but, like, the guy is friggin' massive. Like, it's kind of like, he's not massive in terms of, like, he's not, like, a mass monster, but, like, for his frame, he is massive. And the amount of muscle he did put on in just, was it 2.5, 3 years? It's insane. I just want to, again, say, like, the original video was more so, the guy didn't really add anything that was, like, proof worthy. It was more just like setting up this narrative, but I think he's got some better points in this video for sure, and he's a lot more I would say, like, speculative about things rather than just like stating things as fact, which I like.
Like, what are we doing?
But what if I told you that there was never a drug test conducted in the first place?
So he says this, but again, he can't confirm that to be the case, but it seems very likely.
Stay with me now. So I was working on my response video on the video Greg Doucette made about me when I noticed a very interesting comment that immediately caught my eye. A guy named Sheriff Saad commented on my video.
So, random guy commented on his video. Just keep it going. Because at first when I saw this, I was like, oh, big deal. Somebody commented on your video. Like, it could be anybody. They could say anything.
Regarding Hussein mentioning the natural bodybuilding show, I competed in the same show, same stage, and nobody got tested. A guy even told me afterwards he was on SARMs and competed in the show. Natural shows don't mean much.
And this is a sentiment I've seen in the comments of this video, is a lot of natural bodybuilders saying, yeah, like, natural shows don't actually test half the time. It's like there's a chance you might get tested, but a lot of people just compete on drugs anyway.
As soon as I read this comment, I went to his channel, which had a ton of videos and 5,000 subscribers, and then looked him up on Instagram. As you can see on his Instagram, of which he has 40,000 followers, Sheriff appears to be a natural bodybuilder with 13 years of experience. As you can see in his pinned pictures, he did in fact compete in a bodybuilding show and posted a picture of it on the 12th of November,
yeah, so
2024.
there's proof. It's not just a random guy.
Hussein's Instagram account to the point he competed in the natural bodybuilding show, I found a picture of him on stage, and lo and behold,
he looks insane.
The exact bodybuilding stage.
Like, drugs or not, this guy looks friggin' insane. Like, that's wild.
Our friend Sheriff Saad was competing on.
This is like what happens when someone with a tiny frame gets jacked. Like you'll notice, like, there's some people who are just built kind of bigger in general, and when they get jacked, they look kind of like big. But when you get like these small frame people that get jacked, they end up like, the V is just insane on these kinds of people with like the really small waists. crazy. I still can't believe this guy looks like this. This is insane.
Meaning this comment was actually authentic. I replied to his comment asking him to DM me on Instagram, and when he did, these were the messages he sent me. He showed me the picture of him at the same show as Hussein and said, "That was me at the show. Nobody was tested. It was all bullshit." I replied, "Actually?" Because both Greg and Hussein make it a big point that he entered a drug-tested competition. "Are you saying there was absolutely zero testing?" To which Sheriff replied, "No testing at all. You have my word. They pretend they would test and charge us for it, but they did not test anybody as far as I am."
See, this is the one point, though, that people always fall into this trap, and I'm not saying he's wrong, but he doesn't know if he's right. He says, "You have my word. They pretend they would test and charged us for it, but they did not test anybody as far as I'm aware." Now, I'm not saying, oh, this is proof that Hussein was tested and whatever, right? But what I am saying is, like, there's always this little, like, wiggle room, and if you're gonna, like, definitively say this person's 100% on gear, you need more than just, oh, they blew up to an extent that's not very natural, because even Greg called him out for that before getting the test. You need something definitive to say this dude is on gear. You can't just, like, well, they didn't test anybody, and then, like, because they didn't, why didn't they mention that? If they're lying about this, they must be lying about other things. It's sus, 100%, but, like, I guess it's because, like, I have a little bit of a legal background. I want to see that, like, you know, hammer on the nail. Like, I want to see, like, boom, drug test. Like you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying the guy is natural, but what I am saying is, like, I want to see that, like, we know for sure 100% beyond just, like, oh, it's ridiculous he got that big, right?
Aware of. I then asked him if there was anybody else that could corroborate his story, and he sent me the Instagram profile of another Canadian bodybuilder called Aymeric Leroux. You see, Aymeric competed in men's physique alongside
another
Hussein
guy.
Farhat, as you can see in Aymeric's YouTube video that he posted to it.
Also, kudos to Anabolic Stick for actually trying to corroborate it, because a lot of people would just jump on it and make a video. So, good.
In the video, which is in French, Aymeric states that many of the contestants in the natural show were very open about having taken PEDs and that they didn't get tested. I then asked Sheriff to add me into a group chat with Aymeric so I could ask him about his experience firsthand. When he did, I asked him, "Did you also not get drug tested nor see anyone get tested at the competition?" To which Aymeric responded, "Yes, there was absolutely no testing, at least nothing before the show. Some people said they'll probably test the top 5, but we don't know if they actually did." Sheriff went on to say that natural shows are bullshit, they don't test anybody, and if they ever test, the tests aren't sophisticated. In our
This is what I've been hearing from the comment section from a lot of people, is basically that, like, these natural bodybuilding shows don't really test that well. And then there was actually, Greg Doucette made a video a few months ago. Was it Greg Doucette or Mike Israel? One of those guys made a video months ago where this guy that totally wasn't natural, like, clearly was with a bunch of naturals at a competition, in a natural competition. And, like, there was this whole thing about testing. So it is pretty interesting that they would use that as, like, the big defense, at least one of them, when apparently testing isn't that common at these shows or not done properly.
Show, we didn't see anyone get tested. Aymeric corroborated this by saying that there were no tests during the show. They both said there might have been a very small chance that the top 5 got tested, but they personally don't think this happened, as they didn't see any evidence.
Again, personally didn't see evidence. We can't use that to convict in the court of natty law, but, you know, there are some sus things going on.
Of this happening. Sheriff then went on to make a very good point when he said, "It was not tested as far as I'm concerned, nobody got tested, but if Hussein miraculously did, he would have obviously filmed it since he had a cameraman with him at all times. It's like the best content for him if he really got tested."
Again, this is, like, circumstantial, right? Like, it's like, oh, wait, he should have done this if he did. Like, it's very speculative. So while we can definitely say, like, oh, other creators would have done that, you can't use that to indict the guy. Again, I'm not saying that he's not a fake natty. I'm just like, I like the evidence. I want something more concrete.
Why didn't he think of filming it? There's a video of his entire show day, but not of him being tested. To verify what this guy was saying, I proceeded to watch Hussein's show day video myself, and as Sheriff said, there isn't a single moment within the entire video where Hussein talks about a single drug test, let alone films himself actually taking one. Compare this to Will Tennyson, who just 2 weeks ago posted a video about his show day at a bodybuilding competition.
Again,
and within Will
speculative,
Tennyson's
like,
video, we get to see both a
I get the point. Like, it's like, the point is more like, this is sus rather than this is confirmation.
Polygraph test that they made the contestants take and the actual drug test they had to take as well. Will shows that they made him pee in a cup to then perform a drug test. But in Hussein's video, there's not a single bit of footage or a single mention of any drug test. Now, since I genuinely had never heard of anything like this happening before, I did some digging on the internet. Hussein competed at the King Kong Classic Bodybuilding Show in Ontario, Canada. The federation...
I didn't realize he was also in Ontario. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll run into him one day on the street.
that this show belongs to is called the Canadian Physique Alliance, or CPA for short. When I looked around on the internet, I was led to an r/bodybuilding forum on Reddit about a quote-unquote natural bodybuilder who was competing at a natural show that was hosted by the CPA, the same federation that hosted Hussein's show. One of the top comments was, "Guys, don't worry, he's been natural for at least 3 hours." To which another commenter replied, "I will bet you $50 this is the Canadian Physique Alliance Natural Pro Qualifier."
So this is just like Redditor
testing
comments.
Is a complete joke, and not even every winner gets tested. They've been obviously rewarding cheaters for years, so nothing is being done to discourage it. Not directed at OP either, just a general observation, re the CPA. Now, this wasn't even the only person that had...
Yeah, so some people on Reddit were saying it sucks. I mean, again, that's not like it's not substantial enough evidence in my opinion, but it's definitely, again, like building up that sort of like, like things seem kind of off here case, right?
Had something to say about the CPA's drug testing. Another commenter said, "CPA doesn't even always test winners." So not only do we have two competitors that competed alongside Hussein saying that there was no drug testing involved, we have multiple other sources stating that the bodybuilding federation that Hussein competed in barely ever tests their contestants. After all of this, I messaged Sheriff and said, "It's crazy they don't test while claiming it's drug tested. Are the showrunners not afraid of getting exposed?" He replied, "Exactly, that's why I sent you a DM, because it was really nobody that got tested. They also all knew over there that Hussein is a big Instagram influencer, so they didn't want to ruin the show performance and visibility by making..."
Again, speculation. This guy said exactly, that's why I sent you, because nobody got tested. But then he also said before, not that I'm aware of. Now he's saying, again, speculative. They all knew he was big, so they figured, like, you know, don't screw with him. And again, like, these are all plausible, but it's again, this wouldn't hold up. Not that this is a court of law, but you guys know what I mean, like...
making it hard for him to compete.
Like, I just want the silver bullet. This is like a big cock tease. Like, I just want the silver bullet, man.
Natural shows are bullshit, especially here. Tests are expensive to run, they won't spend money on them. It's hard enough for shows to make money. Imagine spending money testing every single person. It just
I will say one thing, as a Canadian, I fully believe that our federations of anything are fucking shit, because Canada seems to like to do everything half-assed. All the time. Like, anything that goes on in the States, Canada has it, but it's never as good. We have, you know, high school football in the States is huge. In Canada, nobody fucking cares. Like, it's stuff like that. Like all the big, like, sporting events and stuff are always way bigger in the US than they are in Canada, except maybe hockey. So I fully believe that there's some sketch stuff going on in a Canadian competition.
Beneficial business-wise for them. It's all a business, my man. If you had a small restaurant and a big star is coming, you will break some rules for them to get you some hype for your business. He then proceeded to say...
That's not a great analogy, because it's like, what rules are you gonna break? Like...
Yeah, I gotta mention, King Kong Classic has 2 days of competing. Friday is open, which means enhanced, and Saturday is the natural one. Me and Hussein both competed at the natural bodybuilding show. You get charged for testing, but they don't test shit. They put all that money straight in their pocket. They had a little room with a couple of women with water bottles, pretending they would randomly pick people to test them, but it was all for show because we had paid for it. But as far as I'm aware, nobody got tested.
So what if they did test the winner, and maybe not the runner-ups, or what if they tested the top 3, or what it, like... It's a little bit conspiratorial to say that they just have, they have people there just in case, like just in case anybody asks questions, but none of us were tested. Like, if they were gonna do a fake test, it would make more sense to get them to all pee in the bottle and then not test the pee, right? Like, if they were gonna be super sketch about it, like, that's what I would do if I wanted to just pocket the money. Like, clearly they didn't pocket the money because they had people they were paying standing there doing nothing, apparently. So I'm not going to say that this is 100% confirmation that, he must have been tested and this is all bullshit. But on the same token, we can't say there's 100% confirmation he wasn't tested. Does that make sense?
Furthermore, a guy that competed on the natural stage told me he isn't a lifetime natural. He didn't...
Lifetime natural gets kind of sketchy, right? Because after the drugs are out of your system, you will pass a test. But you still would have gained a lot of things from taking the steroids. like you would have gained it a lot quicker in the first place. I'm not sure how much of it you would lose and how much of it you would keep. It's possible he's not a lifetime natural. Maybe he used it to get started and then stopped and didn't lose size. That's very plausible, and then that would explain why Greg's test was no good.
Didn't place well, but I don't want to mention his name, so please respect his privacy. He then said, you can mention that some people on stage told me they were not natural, but I can't share their names as it wouldn't be fair to them. I don't know if they would want to share all of this. So as if it wasn't already known that most natural bodybuilding shows are a sham because the drug tests are easy to pass, it has now come out that Hussein most likely didn't even get drug tested in the first place, yet parades his accolade of competing in a natural bodybuilding show around as proof of his natty status.
You make good points, but what about Hussein competing in a natural show and winning? Yeah, what about it, bro? You didn't mention the show. Like, we're just gonna.
It just looks like his traps are permanently flexed. He's just like, wait, he's just like this all the time. I was in a natural show, man. Like, just naturally, his traps are just freaking like sticking out.
Like, we're just sweeping it under the rug. Like, what are we doing?
Hussein, why is there not a single mention of a drug test in your video when you had your cameraman with you at all times? As I said earlier, when Will Tennyson competed just 2 weeks ago, we were shown both a polygraph test and a urine test.
It's a good it's a good point
in your video. You mentioned every time you went tanning, every meal that you ate, but the most important aspect of a natural bodybuilding show, which is the drug testing, is completely absent from your video.
It's a fair point. I mean, he could retort saying maybe videoing that section of it wasn't allowed. We're gonna have to wait for the Hussein and Greg response, I guess.
There's no video of you getting tested at all. There's not even a single mention of a drug test anywhere. This, combined with the fact that we have 2 contestants of the same show stating that no one got tested, and various threads on the internet critiquing that exact bodybuilding federation for not properly testing people, and I think we can pretty much safely conclude here that Hussein has most likely been lying about this the entire time and didn't actually get drug tested at the bodybuilding.
See, I like this time he said most likely, and he's more open-ended with it, because in his first video he made a lot of declarative statements. This guy is a pathological liar. This person is this. And like, I'm not saying he's gonna get sued, because I think that whole Greg Doucette suing me thing was clickbait. Greg's not gonna fucking sue you. It's stupid. But I do definitely think that when it comes to like speaking about people on the internet, you have to be very careful, because there are people out there that will actually sue you and run you into the ground just because they're like that. There are very sue-happy people. So I'm glad that he's being a lot more, what's the word? Like conservative with his accusations.
Show. Let me ask you this. If Hussein has been lying all this time about being tested at a bodybuilding show to back his natty claim, how likely is it that he has been lying about everything else as well? Now the question is, what is Greg's involvement in all of this? This part is just pure speculation, but would it be that crazy to assume that Greg Doucette, who is the one that told Hussein to compete in a natural bodybuilding show, made Hussein compete at a federation that he knew wouldn't actually drug test him? Hussein and Greg, in both of your videos, you used a natural bodybuilding show as a way to refute my fake natty accusations, when all this time there most likely wasn't even a drug test taken to begin with. If you lied about this.
So yeah, I will say I don't think that last part makes that much sense. Like Greg specifically choosing one that won't be drug tested so they could peddle this, because they would have had the foresight to know that this drama was about to unfold. It's possible. Greg's a very famous bodybuilder. I'm sure he knows a lot of like places. He's Canadian too. I think he lives like way out east though. I don't think he's from Ontario, but it's very possible that was the case. Again, if I was Greg and I wanted to push someone as a natural that was enhanced or on steroids in order to like push my brand, I would just say I would have picked someone who was natural, put them on gear, and then been like, oh, the Turk builder did it, right? That's our GO2 Max. like that's how we got so big, right? So I don't know if this is some like big ploy from Greg. It seems like a really big risk for the guy. Like Greg doesn't give 2 shits what people think for the most part. So I mean, if he did do it, he wouldn't really care about the consequences. I don't know. Maybe he is doing it. The whole fitness industry is full of fucking craziness, but we don't know. We're gonna have to wait for the response. And in the comment section, people were I don't know who this YouTuber is, but they had a check mark, so I know they're a bigger channel. Some check mark channel basically said they would pay for it. So I mean, apparently it's one of Greg's friends, but if they're just willing to give the money and let the other person handle it, yeah, he said basically I'm willing to pay for it, and essentially, like, you can deal with it, and then we'll see if he's natty or not. I think if another test does come out, then the conversation's gonna end up being shifted to... Sorry about my eye twitching, by the way. I don't know why it's doing that. But the conversation's gonna end up being twisted to, like, or shifted to, well, maybe he's not a lifetime natty. So the goalpost will probably get moved because his transformation is kind of ridiculous. I know Greg keeps saying like 1 in a million. I would say like that's like 1 in a billion, but we'll have to see, I guess, if that's the case. But what do you guys think? Do you think this whole situation is a big conspiracy, or do you think that he just is just built different? I don't know what to tell you guys. Let me know down below, and stay tuned for more content. And yeah, see you guys next time.